This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian.
Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast. This is part 2 of the Shining episode that we're doing, the Stanley Kubrick movie. Hey guys, what's up? They're still here.
Hey.
We're doing some editing magic because we went pretty long in the trivia stuff. So we're kind of coming back from a probably very awkward edit at the end of the that second episode there.
You might notice the edges there. That means that we just, we're
right. It was like the film.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll definitely notice the hard edit edge going into the trivia after this little intro here. But
what we did was we took all the reds out, and so we were left with this nice little blue,
It's chilly in here, and it looks very nice.
Yeah, right.
But
I'm sweating.
All right, so on to trivia and on to book talk about the book versus the movie. So
all right. Well, let's hear it. Then
it goes here. Making of. There was a making of documentary. This is different than the Stanley Kubrick overview documentary. This was the best thing there was. There was a lot of behind the scenes footage in it. A lot of Kubrick interacting with people, which I had never seen before. It showed Jack psyching himself up to certain scenes in the movie, which were pretty funny. It showed Shelley Duvall standing there until someone yelled action and then, attempting to do what Stanley Kubrick told her to do 40 times in a row. When Stanley was directing Danny, he would have like a megaphone and just yell actions at him. Not in like a mean way, but just be like, all right, run, Danny.
Yeah.
All right, no, wait. And then stop. And then look over there.
Yeah.
And then hide in the thing. And then hide in there as fast as you can. Just go. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So apparently
the kid did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. It was just weird because like the sound in the scenes where the kid was in was so good that I didn't even think for a second that they would have to have done that again,
Right.
Because they wouldn't have been able to use it when he was like yelling stuff at him.
Right. Yeah.
But with that being said, they used the actual sound for the tricycle going over the carpets and the hardwood because the cameraman for that set up he had a wheelchair that he hooked up the Steadicam to, and they would wheel themselves on it, and the wheelchair's wheels were rubber, so they could have a mic on top of the wheelchair as they followed him around, being pushed on this. They all wore like really soft shoes and were quiet as possible, pushing a wheelchair around with a camera on it and following him, miking him, and picking up the sounds of that transition from like the carpet to the hardwood. So that was picked up there, which is pretty sweat.
Which was I actually was thinking about if it was real or not. So that's cool.
They must have mixed it super hard because as soon as he hit the hardwood, it was super loud.
It feels like it's stylistically done. Like it's not quite the real sound, but it's all the more sort of engaging because of that. It just gives you the sort of haunting sound, sort of the softness and the loudness of it.
I had a note saying it was so weird seeing Jack after a take. Like they had behind the scenes footage of him when he was trapped in the freezer or the dry pantry area. And he's saying, go check out the snowcat. You got a big surprise coming to you. Go check it out. And he's like laughing and yelling, go check it out. As soon as he's done yelling that, he like just backs off, goes completely back to normal. And you're like, there's no cool down period to that. Like you're not going to taper off. You're just like, I'm done.
He's like,
where's the next take?
Okay.
I'm going to go sit down and eat some snacks. And
You got peanuts. I kind of want peanuts. I don't know.
It's just so weird because his character in the movie is like so linear, going in a straight line, crazier and crazier, and just seeing him doing that, but not actually going crazy. It's just like, oh, he's a kind of a normal guy. It's an actor. Apparently, that's what actors do.
Apparently,
Kubrick told the crew not to sympathize with her, meaning Shelley, because it seemed like Shelley was like looking for some sympathy, like she was kind of complaining a bit, and Kubrick was like, "Don't do that.
Yeah,
don't pay attention to her.
Don't allow her to get this stupid."
Yeah. So I don't know what I feel about that, but that happens.
She's pulling out clumps of hair, and there's only one string.
Yeah, that quote was right after he pulled out he held up the two clumps of hair, two pieces of hair. They had a lot of preparation for that ballroom scene. They had a bunch of people like just practicing dancing, practicing talking without actually saying anything. They had this whole separate like rehearsal area. When they were filming on set, he went up to the whole group of people and were like, all right, everyone talk, just mouth it and don't nod. If you nod, it'll look fake. So he just wanted everyone to sit there and quietly have conversations between each other because they were rolling sound during that part too, when Jack was like walking through ballroom
wow.
when everyone was there. Like that was live sound and everyone was
And
just
just
like
silent.
mouthing. Yeah.
Holy shit. Never would have thought that.
Yeah. It's pretty
It
sweet.
worked out perfectly back when you actually used to capture sound on set. That's cool.
And everything in this movie was captured in camera. There was one special effect. Can you guess what the one special effect was?
Everything captured in camera except one special effect.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the blood. That's what
Nope.
comes to mind at first. But
That was real.
right? Gallons and gallons of blood.
Mm-hmm.
Real
Hundreds of gallons of blood.
blood pool.
And it was the best blood money could buy.
I don't know.
It was so. Speaking of the blood, as TC thinks about it, if he still is, the blood is called Kensington Gore. It's the best Hollywood blood you could buy. It comes in very small packets because it's so expensive and hard to make. And they just purchased a shit ton of it to do that blood scene.
And yeah, one take, I would imagine.
2 takes.
I bet Kensington was
2
so
takes.
happy.
Yeah, they had to clean it up once, and after the they were planning on doing more, but after the first cleanup, they're like, "We're not cleaning this up again." That was way too
They had
hard.
to repaint shit, I bet,
Yeah.
and completely redo it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he went to go feed the dogs.
Aw.
Any guesses on the special effects?
Which
The
single
one special effect
effects?
in the movie. It was a matte painting, if that helps.
It might have been the them walking through from above, looking down upon the hedges and watching them.
Oh, that
Boom.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell
That's
yeah.
it.
Hey,
That's
ding, ding,
it.
ding.
Hey, well.
I actually, this time too, when that scene came up, I was like, what the fuck am I looking at here? Like, how did they possibly do this shot? This is insane.
right. Yeah.
But apparently, Kubrick rented out an apartment near the set, and during the production of the movie, built a miniature of the entire hedge maze, and they just matted out like they had a real shot, like the center of that shot was real, and they just integrated it with a matte painting of a picture of the set they built in that
Perfect.
apartment. Yeah,
Yeah, it looked dead on.
it looked perfect.
Great. Yeah.
Shelley Duvall is not mad at Kubrick anymore. She said he caused her pain during the shoot, but and she resented him in the short term, but she understands him now. So
Oh, she went to therapy, realized
she got a
wasn't the
paycheck.
victim.
She's famous.
Yeah,
Right.
Still gets her
Doing well.
residuals.
Yep.
Has a nice house in the hills. Doesn't have to do too much. Flails around all by herself. It's great.
So that's the making of, worthwhile just for the behind the scenes stuff. And to believe it or not, guys, I got some commentary stuff. I'll try to whiz through this.
Okay.
The commentary is with the Steadicam inventor and operator on this movie, Garrett Brown, and a biographer called John Baxter. I'm so glad the Garrett Brown Steadicam operator was in it, because the biographer was just one of the guys who just spouts off like names from other movies and being like, oh, they shared a screen together before this. And they're like, who gives a shit? I can go to IMDb and figure this out myself. In Oregon, the Timberline Lodge was the exterior shots of the hotel. That's where they filmed both in the summer and the winter. There were some wintertime snow-covered exterior shots that were really filmed there. So the main hotel they used for the interior set was called Alani Lodge in Yosemite in California. And that's the one that they, took pictures of the most and then recreated the majority of that in the sets in England. But you can still go to both of those places. Of the 40 takes, they said 5 of them were to practice it. When you got to 14, it was great. And then every single take after that was perfect. So why
wow.
he continued
So,
on, I don't know.
So, yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
So he must have just been like seeing tiny things that nobody else was seeing, but
Yeah.
everybody doing it was just like,
yeah.
we're going
And
to do it
knew
perfectly.
in shot 17, you screwed up that section and you got it in this shot, but we still need to get the next edit because you didn't do that shot, and then he probably picked it all apart in his head.
And probably Kubrick too. He doesn't want to say like you did everything perfectly except for this one tiny thing that you did. I know you're not going to do that thing again, but I want you to know about it. He was probably just running it again to be like,
yeah, because he doesn't
I'm
want them to
hoping
know
it's
that he's trying to get the different.
because then they'll focus
right.
on that and probably fuck up
And
another
then-
part, sort of thing.
Right. And he's just crazy
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
So the guy who invented the Steadicam was also the operator for all the movies he used to work on. And back in Steadicam days, he talked a lot about the Steadicam industry, I guess. Like Rocky had it. That's when it was invented. This guy did shorter movies before then that the people in Rocky figured out. Up until this movie, he was hired as not the cinematographer or even on like the entire production, because they would only use it for like action scenes or like for specific shots. They would use him where they're like, this would be good for this one shot. They'd hire him, get the shot, and that would be it.
Mhm.
This is the very first movie where he worked the entire shoot, and Kubrick worked with him during the shoot to like figure out how he could use this tool for close to half the shots, if not slightly more than half the shots in the movie. There were a lot of I think they still counted the wheelchair Steadicam shots as Steadicam, so not as hard for the guy because it's not strapped on to his
body,
his back. Yeah. Those shots were really hard on him. But there were a lot of dolly shots as well. They would set up tracks and put the camera on a little train car thing, and push it. Yeah, he talks about how sometimes there were edits in the movie where if it looks like it should be a still shot, but you see the camera shaking, it's because they edited out a tracking shot. That happens multiple times in the movie where it cuts to a still frame shot, but the edges, if you look at the edges, it's shaking slightly. It's because he's holding it because that shot was meant to be longer, but they edited it down.
Oh.
Wow.
The first time he complained, and he did this a lot, but not in a bad way. The shot where Jack is walking into the hotel the first time he's there and walks into the guy's office and sits down.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tracking shot with him doing the Steadicam, and then that office shot continues on as a 2-shot for 3 minutes afterwards. So he had to get really good at walking into somewhere and then standing completely still and silently for 3 minutes.
Wow.
So that was the hardest part of his job, according to
Take
this.
after take, too, right? I
'Cause
mean, so that's
he wasn't used to not moving with the Steadicam because he never had to before. He would just run around, and that
I'm
would
the
be fun.
Steadicam guy. I move.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
I move. Yeah.
No, you gotta stay there.
No,
No,
Mr.
you don't
Tripod.
understand.
You're Mr. Tripod today.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Like I built this because I
Yeah.
like to move. See, that's what I like to do.
And there's only a couple of scenes where he had the Steadicam strapped on and running. There was 2. There was one where he was chasing Wendy through the hotel when she was trying to tell Jack something. And there was one where it was flipped around backwards and pointing backwards, and he was running away from Danny as he was going through the maze. Most of the other Steadicam, or every other Steadicam shot in this movie was him walking to a standing position.
Wow.
So all of that was new to him too.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
that'd been tough. I wonder how heavy that camera was.
60 pounds.
Damn.
Ooh, that would be rough.
Yeah.
That'd be heavy.
They kind of built it into an entire back brace type of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But
It's still heavy, though,
Still
when you got
not
dead weight
great.
on you.
Yeah.
I wonder how his back is doing these days.
Plus, with all
Yeah.
the stuff that it's all really the stuff that it keeps it steady, that weighs on top of it, too. The camera's 60 pounds, but
Oh,
gonna
I
be-
assumed the whole rig was 60 pounds.
oh, is it the
maybe.
whole rig or was it just the camera?
I think, the whole,
Probably-
I think it's just the stuff outboard of his body was 60 pounds. So whatever
okay.
mount there was
Okay.
plus the
Okay,
camera,
okay.
but not the brace.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause that
It's just
stuff weighs something, too, right? I mean,
That's something. Yeah. It's not as bad as
Yeah.
the stuff that's sticking out of your chest though. I
I mean, he's got a
imagine.
ton of stuff on him, put it
Yeah.
that way. Yeah. Yeah. Especially back then when
when
you
the
know.
cameras were huge. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
everything wasn't, and the Steadicam suits weren't as good either.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this guy invented them. So it's just one guy and no one else knew how to do it. So they're we got to get this one
Right.
guy who knows how to do this thing.
You know
There's
that
no
shit was
industry for this yet.
stuck together with duct tape and fucking bubble gum and
Yeah.
shit.
He ripped apart his chair at home and just taped it to metal bars.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Put some Velcro.
So like you said, John, that the snow was salt. So the mounds of it was styrofoam and the stuff that would fall from the sky was salt. So it would eat at the boots of the people on set.
Yeah, you'd
Oh,
think
wow.
the air would be all dry and you'd breathe that
Yeah.
in.
Yep.
It would be rough.
That happens. Yeah, it was pretty terrible. They had 900 tons of it. And
Jesus.
and you saw in the behind the scenes thing, they would have these giant construction cranes that would lift the snow up and have fans built into the bucket up there, and it would blow the snow out of the cranes just so it would scattered around those really, really wide shots to have a uniform snowfall from salt falling from the sky.
Salt.
From salt.
Freaking sting your eyes.
That
you'd
would be
think.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People were not happy. And they were hot. It looks cold, but they were hot.
There was sweat.
So the reason those things looked like it was cold is because they would do a blue printing thing. They would take the footage and not print it in a normal way. If they were to print it normally, it would look brown and orange because of all the studio lights. They were just normal studio lights on set. But the way they printed it, they only printed the blue colors that were picked up on the film. And that led to it looking like it was
Yeah,
cold and snowy,
That outside look. Right. Yeah.
which is pretty cool because it's not a digital special effect. It was a chemical thing they did to the film.
It's a
get it to look
color
that way.
effect
Yeah.
almost. Yeah, that's really cool. That's seriously knowing some, shit about film and development and all that. It's
As a photographer, it's a tool he has in the back of his head. He's I can do
Yeah.
this to make this look better. That's what I'll do.
right.
Not a lot of directors would do that.
Go down that
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that tennis ball scene where they throw the tennis ball and it lands right next to the truck,
Uh huh.
50 takes.
I bet. I'm like, that was perfect. It was right down the middle,
Yep.
right down the little red line. It was right. It was great. It was great.
50 takes. Totally worth it.
50 takes. Yeah. One more. Go again. Let's go again. Can you imagine?
So there was one shot in the entire movie that was only one take. But it wasn't Kubrick. It was a stock footage shot. It was when the plane was landing in the blizzard.
Oh,
That was
okay.
just stock footage, apparently. Looked pretty good.
Can we roll that take that plane off again? We need to take that again. What? Yeah, we got it. Run. We got it. It didn't look. We need to do another 40 shots in plane landing.
But so surprisingly, that was one. But the one that they actually filmed, there was one where it was 2 to 3 takes, he said. I don't know how he doesn't remember 2 to 3. He's probably not even counting because like he's just used to 40. And then after 3, he's like, wait, was that 2 or 3? I forget. Holy shit. Why was it? But
yeah, right.
it was the scene where Jack was describing his most horrible dream. He like is having a nightmare and he wakes up. And
right.
Wendy's
Yeah.
there. I'm surprised it only took 2 to 3 takes.
Right. That one's a complicated emotional thing.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
I almost thought they reshot it because it looked like there was a couple cuts where he looked more tired than the other.
Maybe that's why. Maybe you
angle.
noticed it there, and that's why he usually does more takes because you notice the edit because they only did 2 to 3.
Oh,
If
yeah,
they had more
true.
takes, they could have found a better edit. Maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I mean, it looked like they had maybe come back and shot it a different day. Because he looked less tired and he looked less.
I don't
like-
think that happened because they did it the same
okay.
day.
Yeah,
But maybe something changed between the takes. I don't know.
yeah. Or he
Slightly
just
different
looked
position, slightly different lighting. I
Yeah,
don't know.
lighting might have changed. Yeah, who knows? Although that's unlikely with Kubrick, so who knows? But it just looked to me. It looked like there was a different day that they shot on. So I don't know.
So there were shots inside the rooms. Like they mentioned this happened a lot during the shoot. Whenever there were like rotating shots where you were in one spot and the camera rotated 180 degrees to like look behind you sort of thing, they would program the lights in those areas to dim as the camera moved around. So the area directly in front of the camera was the most well lit. And they had it programmed with the camera so that you couldn't tell any of the lights were dimming.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And if there were ever lights that would cast a shadow in an odd way, they would have people with little flags that would go as the camera was rotating and like putting them in front of the light, behind the camera to block any type of, even if it's dim,
Wow.
they would block
Jesus.
all the light from that light. And they would do that on multiple shots in this movie. Whenever you see it rotating from like a single spot, that's what
Yeah.
they're doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And they said it wasn't too hard because they would do it 40 to 50 takes and you
Right, they
guys
got good at it,
fucking
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
This
Yeah,
is
it was
my
like a
life
rhythm.
now. I
They
put
had
the
a
little
rhythm.
flag up. I put the flag down.
Yeah,
This
and
is
it
what I'm
happens right
doing.
after this beat.
Put the flag up
it's
there,
3
boss?
years
I'll
of
put the
film
flag up there.
school.
just- Yep.
Raise
Working with the
flag.
master. This is the most rewarding experience of my life.
Yeah, and then Emilio looks at you and goes, "Hey, at least you don't have to go feed the dogs."
Stanley Kubrick did the dolly shots himself. So he can
Really?
take credit for
Wow.
any of the dolly shots, being the cinematographer there. The ballroom tracking shot was a dolly shot. So it's called Oil Smoke. I don't know.
Oil smoke.
Oil Smoke. Can we look that up really quick? Because I'm curious now, too.
No, that was the snow.
That was the mist.
Illegal mist.
Yeah. Oil Smoke. Cinema Blend has a 14 behind-the-scenes facts about the legendary horror film. The negative side effect was the smoke combined with the light created a kind of sick yellow on set. But Kubrick was able to
Ooh.
suck out all of the red and yellow while emphasizing the blue during the color timing process.
Wow.
So it doesn't say why it's illegal, but it does say that they had a weird yellow smoke during those scenes. Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Oh, we didn't talk about the burning down of the set.
Oh, right. The fire that happened.
Yeah. Colorado Lounge set burnt down.
Yeah, we talked about that because that was during Star Wars too.
Yep,
Like
right across the
Empire
street,
Strikes
they were
Back.
filming
Yeah.
Star Wars. Yeah, the production of this movie was supposed to be much shorter than it was, but the set burnt down due to electrical failures. And Kubrick is such a stickler to contracts that he had a clause in his contract. Like everybody that owned the studio was like, you got to get out of here. We have contracts to film Red with who's in Red? I never saw that one. Is that the salad dressing guy?
Warren Beatty?
Warren
maybe?
Beatty, okay. But also Raiders of the Lost Ark was supposed to come in there really soon. So, but Kubrick had a thing in his set saying like, I get to have whole sets until everything I have is done, including close-up shots. So like they couldn't push him into doing just close-up shots to finish the movie if something terrible happened. So they got
not Red, but Reds, right?
Reds, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Warren Beatty and
So that was lined up next at the studio.
Diane Keaton.
That and Raiders of the Lost Ark were lined up next. But since Kubrick was like, no, you got to build me a new set. It's in the contract.
Look at this contract.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh.
So then they had to push back the productions of those movies because of Kubrick.
Yay, Kubrick.
Yay. I'm glad he did it. It's in the contract.
Oh, yeah.
Hold these suits to their fucking worth, you know?
Exactly. Stanley Kubrick is in this movie.
When?
Well, his hand is at least.
That's it.
His hand
That
is
doesn't count.
his hand is the hand that reaches into the bathroom and gets cut by Wendy's knife.
Oh, ouch.
That's a Kubrick hand right there.
Unlike the Hitchcock, whose hand does the strangling,
That's right.
Stanley's hand is the one that gets hurt.
It's the opposite. Yes.
He's
Yeah.
like, look, I know you're mad at me, Shelly. I know you don't like me. Look, I'm going to give you
There you
one
go. I'll give you
reprieve.
this.
Yeah, I'm going to give you one reprieve. You get to hack my hand at the act scene. She's like, okay.
This is how we know Kubrick was more of a Hitchcock fan than a Kubrick fan because he's more in line with the stepping in for the strangling scenes, you know?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Wait a minute. You just said Kubrick was more of a Kubrick fan than a Hitchcock fan? I'm confused.
Tarantino was more of a
Tarantino.
Yeah.
I see. Never mind. Yes. Go on.
God, I'm tired.
I said it's like, yeah.
Tarantino was
too,
more
so-
of a Hitchcock
Sorry,
fan than
just
a.
wanted to catch that
Yes,
one.
thank
You can
you.
edit that back.
Yeah, because I didn't really understand that.
I just smiled and nodded, and I was like,
Thanks.
yeah,
He's
let's
trying
move
his
on.
best. Good for him.
Tried his best. It didn't land,
right.
but that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
So Frozen Jack, now that you're not confused anymore, Frozen Jack
Yes,
was
Frozen
a mannequin.
Jack. Would not
Nice.
have known that.
Yeah, because it looks like it's just him with a shit ton of makeup on, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, dead.
Dead.
Looks like I'm dead.
Yeah.
It was- yeah.
Kubrick was offered The Exorcist and turned it down.
Oh.
So there's that.
Oh,
Hey, he
why?
watched it in his private. He watched the reels and was like, "Fuck this! I'm not doing that."
Wait, no, he turned down the movie after,
After it was
he saw
made.
After you saw it, yeah. After you saw it, yeah. I don't want to make that. Fuck this.
Yeah, it's already made. Somebody else
It's already
made it.
made. So, man,
I mean, that was pretty
Yeah.
good. I would have made this, but it's already made.
I would
so
have
what
made
the
this,
fuck?
but you know what? They did it already. I don't need to do it. Yeah,
What are we
Yeah,
doing
I
here? I'm confused.
Yeah, it didn't
Well,
make any
you know, I
sense.
mean, Kubrick
I guess
was
we're
a
all
big
getting
Kubrick
tired
fan.
here. I
as
guess
you know.
we're-
We don't
I guess
usually
we're all
do this
getting
long
tired.
episodes.
Yeah,
I know,
right.
I know.
Exactly. We're
I
all
got one
fading
last piece of
fast
trivia,
here.
guys. We're at the end here.
No, well, then we're going to talk about the book, right?
Oh, shit.
Oh shit! Are we really?
Yes, we are.
Oh fucking hell!
Oh, this might be a three-parter. So I think the best example of how many takes they did and the hardships in the takes was the shot where Wendy is kind of towards the end where everything is going nuts. She's going upstairs looking for Danny, and it's kind of she's facing the camera's looking down at her, and the Steadicam operator is facing her, walking backwards up the stairs. They walk 3 flights of stairs up. There's 3 flights that she walks up, and they did 35 takes of that
Oh,
in one day.
Christ, dude!
Wow.
And he looked it up. He walked backwards an equivalent of the Empire State Building that day
Damn.
with 60 pounds of camera.
Right,
On
right.
his back.
Stairs.
Yeah.
The
Ugh.
same paycheck he made the day before.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
And he didn't fuck up any of the times either, you know? Like he's doing it perfectly every time, but not perfectly enough for Stanley.
Ah.
Man, that's a rite of passage after you do one of his movies.
Yep. But all right, so yeah. What do we got in the book? John, what are the
Book
top
time.
5?
Johnny's
Thanks.
book corner.
What are the top 5?
Everybody.
I got a
For a
question for you,
second or
John.
something. You want to pause and take another break real quick?
Yeah, I
Yes.
need air in this room like
Yes.
immediately.
Hey, this is probably another awkward edit. We're time
Wait.
traveling around. We're doing some very sloppy editing magic.
Yeah.
Even
Right.
editing
Stomach-
that
I'm getting audio sick here.
Yeah, this is a
Stomach
lot of
kinda
whirling
hurts. It's
around,
like,
and I'm pretty sure that this is some editing that I'm not even going to be able to make smooth. So we're just going to go ahead and
we'll
own
find
it.
out.
We'll own it. Yeah, we're coming back talking about The Shining, the 1980 Stanley Kubrick movie. We did trivia the past 2 episodes, and I think part of this episode too. But I wanted to talk. Me and John read the book. I've read it multiple times.
Yep.
I read it when I was, I think I was like 12 when I read this book. I read this book when I was so young that every day I had to go down, like every day I was done reading it, I had to go downstairs and talk with my dad, who at the time was like grading papers, because that's what he did like when we went to sleep when I was younger. Talk to him about anything just so I could get my mind off of what I just read, because it was so
I'm surprised
scary.
he'd let you read that so young. It's pretty terrifying.
We played so many video games and stuff growing up. They were just like, anything they want to read, it's better than video games. So
Oh, right. You're in
Yeah.
the book, son?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, right. And they
Which is
tried that
nice.
with me too.
yeah, because
It
I
just
really
didn't
got
work.
really into like Michael Crichton and Stephen King when I was in like 6th grade.
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
yeah.
That's why when we had those summer reading lists that had those
Yep.
stuff on there. Yep.
And I
Yeah,
actually
remember
found that some books were actually pretty good. And if I could find
They were.
like, yeah,
They were.
Not
Although
all of
all
them.
I did was I tried to read as fast as possible because my mom used to give me a minimum before I'd go back out and skateboard. It's like, you need to do 85 pages. So I'd sit there and I'd blitz through. That's why I'm so good at reading manuals. Now I can read stuff fast. I don't want to read a book like for fun, but if I have to, I can read.
I can speed read a manual like nobody's business.
Oh yeah, it's just speed read the motherfuck out of shit. But I can't do, I'm not going to sit down and read The Shining.
Would she
It's
quiz
really like-
you on the book's contents? How would she know you
she
actually
would just
read it?
she would just because she would see how long it took me, and she'd be like, "All right, I think you could do that.
I
I
think
think
you
you
did
could do that. Yeah." Then
Just
she'd
slowly
make me
shrinking
sit
the
there.
time down until you get to like zero. And
Oh
you're-
no, I'd read it too. Just be like, "Oh yeah," and sometimes she would ask because there were books she's read, right?
Yeah.
White Fang and all that other shit. I'd be like, "Well, then this." She goes, "All right, hey, you can go skateboard. 85 pages. Yeah, 85 pages a day." Anyways,
They didn't know about
Next.
Spark Notes during this time either.
they
was
weren't
brand new.
the biggest thing yet. Yeah, right.
You mean Cliff Notes? Spark Notes.
Spark Notes, same thing.
Yeah, sure.
We had
Both.
Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes
I
were
know
the paper
Spark Notes.
version. Spark Notes were the online free version.
Oh, I see. That's I've just
That's
dated
right, old
myself.
man. That's right.
Yep,
Yeah.
I am the old man. We had Cliff Notes.
Spark Notes was great for like a year before the adults got privy to their existence. I think it was my freshman year in high school when that happened, which must have been like 99.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Because I remember there was a religion class I took where I didn't read anything and I failed a test pretty bad because of it.
God's looking down on you.
Ooh.
It was a terrible class with a terrible teacher. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Anyway.
So, John, this book,
Yes.
compare it to the movie. You were disappointed, as you said in the previous episodes, that after reading the book immediately watching the movie, that this movie seemed more disappointing than just watching it by itself.
Yeah, I think so. Just because the depth of the characters weren't there at all. Everybody was sort of one dimensional, and it works for the film, I think. But like I was saying, like Jack's character is really much more sympathetic. He's got a lot more of a bond with his boy and his wife too. I mean, they show a lot of like that they care for each other. You just are inside their heads a lot, and it's really well done. Something else that's really well done is a fair amount of the book. You're inside the boy's head and see things from his perspective, and I think it's really well done the way he describes things that he doesn't quite understand. He talks about them wanting a divorce, or maybe that they talk about a divorce. He doesn't really know what that means, but he's terrified of it. So there's a lot of like just really well done character development here. That would be hard to put in the movie for sure. So I think that's kind of disappointing. Even the smaller characters, like what's his name? What's the character, the guy who runs the place, Ullman, or what's his name? He's like in the book, he's this kind of hard ass that no one likes. And he doesn't want to hire Jack, but Jack has this friend Shockley who's like well placed. That's a drinking buddy of Jack's, a former drinking buddy, who wants him to get this job. And Ullman's like, "You're not for this. This isn't going to work for you, and I know it." That and even that Ullman's this hard ass. In the movie, he's just this happy-go-lucky nice guy. You're fit for this job. He's just sort of, again, just one note. I'm the happy owner of the hotel. Everything's going to be great here. So it just seems like that's, and again, maybe that works well, and it would bog things down if you had to have much more dimensionality to the characters, and it would just take time that they don't have, within the movie.
Yeah, I agree. He gives a space to like the hotel itself instead of the characters in the movie. It seems.
And that's fair. I mean, because what he does with the space is amazing. So I think the other thing that this book is really, it seems to capture well is the alcoholism and guilt parts for Jack's perspective, where really he's an alcoholic. He struggles with it. He also wants to drink all the time, and also feels terrible and is racked with guilt for breaking Danny's arm. He doesn't dislocate his shoulder, and small detail in the book, he breaks his arm. But after Danny poured beer on his papers, I think like the play he was writing. So even in the movie, it's sort of interesting that they minimize what Danny did. Like Danny just sort of scattered papers around and made a mess or something, the way they describe it in the movie, and then he dislocates his shoulder. Well, here in the book, Danny poured beer on his play that he was writing, and then laughed about it. Thought it was a pretty funny joke for Daddy, and Dad broke his arm. Again, the amount of like the guilt and the way the book shows Jack sort of like vacillating between guilt, shame, and anger. Also blaming blaming his wife and for like sticking him in this spot. I just think it's done so well, and it's just sort of frightening almost the way he keeps cycling between these things, and the way it sort of escalates towards sort of the way the hotel sort of preys upon him. It's sort of terrifying, but it also it just feels like it's sort of there's a realness to the sort of like his downfall in that it's like built in his shame and guilt. And how he's like, it's some self-loathing, but then how he turns that hate into hate of his wife. And how that all just sort of builds up is really well done. And we don't really see, there's not much of that in the movie at all. That sort of like how you see him spiraling and sort of what his thinking is and how it relates to his addiction and how he feels terrible about the things that he's done and all of that.
So yeah, you're
He's
making the book
nodding.
sound a lot better, focusing just on the characters. Like there is a ton in the book with the characters,
Yes.
and like all the characters are likable. Wendy's likable. I think you said she's not weak. She's not one note. She's pretty strong. She is an actual person. There are times where like there are sweet moments between all the parents, like where you actually are rooting for everybody to get out of there together, as opposed to the movie where you're kind of just like, get the fuck away from Jack. He's obviously crazy, sort of thing.
Right, you're seeing that like from the first scene that he's a creepy dude here already, you know.
But they're in it together for a lot of it, and there are scenes where even before the supernatural stuff happens, I remember there was a scene with like wasps in the book where like Danny gets attacked. There's like a beehive or a wasp nest in his room.
Yeah.
And they have to like get him out of there, and they bug bomb it, and they're like up in the middle of the night, and they did something together to like survive even without any ghosts or anything. And that scene stuck out as like, oh, the movie has nothing like this, just like family bonding, showing like how this family sticks together. So it makes it the downfall of Jack that much scarier and I guess believable somehow. Just because it from the place you start, it seems like this is normal, and now we're in a haunted hotel. Like it seems more realistic of a situation because of the slower character development, I guess. Yeah.
Yep. I think so. And there's just not room for all of it, and that makes sense. But it feels just, I mean, I don't know. It seems very real. I don't know. It's not like overly written or heavy on the emotions or anything, but like the way they're portrayed is really like, I don't know. It seems realistic. And even though he's spending all these time in their heads, it just feels. And you can think about it. Again, the story of Jack is somebody who's an aspiring writer who struggles with alcoholism and guilt related. I mean, that Stephen King had this struggle, and so he talked about that too. That he struggles with alcoholism. He is grateful for AA, and he wrote the sequel. He said as sort of like an example of what would happen if Jack had found AA. So, and it's more about kind of some redemptive qualities.
It wasn't Jack, it was
sort of like,
Danny.
But if Jack had AA, that's kind of what he was thinking when he was kind of conceptualizing the book, the book that came next. So it's again, I don't know. It would have been a whole lot to tackle just that alone. Any one of those themes that we've talked about, whether it's the family bonding or his alcoholism or any of that stuff, just any one of those alone would have been pretty challenging in this film, or to sort of like really try to tackle. And maybe it's just better off. It's just altogether better that they don't. They're just like, nah, we'll just leave leave the characters to be very simple because we got all this other complex stuff to do elsewhere.
I wanted to ask you, John. I don't know if you can come up with this list quickly, but what are the top 5 parts of the book that weren't in the movie that you thought were like the best parts of the book? Because I think the best parts of the book didn't make it in the movie.
I think the best parts of the book are the character descriptions in general. So I wouldn't necessarily. I don't think I'd be able to come up with like scenes.
No scenes, really? Okay.
I can't really think of scenes, but you got. I think you got some in mind.
I do.
So I'd be interested.
Yeah, I mean the hedge maze scene we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
that scene was incredible. There's a scene where a fire.
So you mean the not the hedge, so in the book doing the hedge animals scenes. Yeah. That was nail biting. Yeah. When I thought
there's like literally a chase scene away from like a hedge animal, which sounds stupid, but it wasn't. It was really scary when it was going on. The scene where there was like an elevator moving around downstairs, and it comes up and it opens, and there's like party hats and like confetti in the elevator. Yeah. Like I remember that being super terrifying.
There was a little of that in the movie, right? Where Wendy's going through her whole "I'm getting scared" sequence, and there's like party stuff on the floor. But it's
not
done
the same. So quickly though. It's such a slow build up in the book.
Yeah, and there's like a real sinister quality to the elevator itself, and there's a sequences where the elevator starts running by itself,
Yep.
and freaking people out. They're like sitting in their room and they hear the elevator running.
Yeah, that's
That would freak
scary.
me out.
Yeah.
right.
It's like, who the fuck is in here?
You know, you
that'd
and
be
you in
just
the
like the
empty
old
room.
Yeah, right. The empty
Yeah,
room. Where the fuck did you
empty
hear that?
place.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I heard that. Fuck, did
All
you
right,
hear
let's
that?
get out.
Yeah.
We're getting out of here.
That elevator running? There's no power on over there. You know.
I'm not checking it. You go check it, Wendy. God
I'm
damn
not
it, I
checking
checked it
No,
last time.
I told you I'm going to the kitchen and I'm going back to the room. That's it.
Right.
The scene where Danny's wandering around the house by himself, and there's a fire hose that falls off of its hinge, and he's like imagining it to become a snake.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, remember that being super terrifying when I was.
And it does mess with him. It like changes its perspective on him and stuff. Oh, interestingly, the naked woman bathtub scene, even though that seems very Stephen King, because he always has some sex kind of stuff in there.
So does Kubrick,
it's
though.
like about, I know, but that's not in the book at all. Not a bit of it. Yeah, that's not there.
Room
So
237 is in the book, but just not that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the woman dies in the bathtub, but there's no scene of that woman and Jack. There is Danny coming back down with strangle marks on his neck.
So also the scene where he gets trapped in that tube when like the whole playground is covered in snow.
Oh, right. So there's like a haunted playground in the book, sort of, and there's something like there's a particularly bad. Oh, one thing that one kind of stupid plot point in the that was almost comical in the movie that I forgot to mention was when they said the hotel had been built over an Indian burial ground. I thought, oh yeah,
Like, why?
Oh, so there's that.
Come on.
Oh, that makes sense then. I guess the fucking elevator can
That
run.
explains
Yeah.
everything. Or reincarnation, or you have reincarnation and an Indian burial ground.
Right, of course. Come on.
You got murder in the hotel. You got a bunch of dead Native Americans under the hotel.
Under the
like
hotel.
Yeah, right.
a bunch of ghosts.
What do you expect's going to happen?
Yeah.
I just thought that was just like, oh, please.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry. What were your other scenes? And so you're the playground one. There was the haunted playground, and he like builds there's like a big concrete sort of tube, and he goes in there and he gets trapped in there, and that's where he also not only gets trapped in there. Isn't that when the hedge animals start
different
coming
scene.
after
That's
him,
the
or
one
what?
where he's
No, it's a
like,
different.
they couldn't film, like none of these could be filmed. I mean, the
Something
elevator
comes
one.
after him.
Wait, yeah, but you can't see it. He's in pitch black, and he just describes
Yeah.
the sense of something crawling at him in the.
Oh yeah,
in
like
the
a
tube.
spider or something kind of.
He thinks
yeah.
it could be a spider. He starts thinking about how it could be like some kid in the past got trapped in here and died or
Right.
something. Because he knows it's like one of his memory things that he gets that's like, it's not real, but it's real enough where he's like terrified of it, sort of thing. So that scene. And the scene where Danny is in the hotel and there's like a dog creature, like a guy in like a furry guy, right? Who's on hands and knees and is like chasing him and just threatening him with just some really sick shit.
Yeah. And so the in the book, they're at this party and everybody's just lavishly costumed and dressed and everything.
And by lavishly costumed, you mean people dressed up in full dog outfits, just like in this movie when she sees that furry guy in the bedroom.
They were all like doing and this one guy, this guy was sweet on one of the big gangsters, I think that was there, and Jack's dancing with this gangster's. I think it's one of the big gangsters. I don't remember, but he's like dancing with his girlfriend, and she's telling him all about how this guy is in love with the gangster, and the gangster just leads him on and just is making him do tricks and was really just sort of humiliating him in front of everybody. And that was a whole scene in the book around that. Where that's where the guy in the dog costume comes from. But yeah, then like as later on that guy shows up again chasing Danny and threatening him.
And it's like the
saying
hotel,
terrible
like
things.
the main force of the hotel is inside this guy. And it's just like that scene was very scary too. Because it's
It
like a
was,
little kid and it's just like, this older guy who's very scary, saying some very fucked up things and no one's there to help him, sort of thing. A lot of the book is that too, where it's just they leave Danny alone all the time. And he's in danger, which is just inherently scary.
And you're seeing it from his perspective too, sort of like you're like what he's thinking about it, or
Yeah, but those are my 5, John.
yeah, those are good 5.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say about the book. Do you?
Oh,
I do have one more thing.
what else?
Reading the book and listening to the audio book, 2 different experiences. So even if you've listened to the, or if you read the book, listen to the audio book because like different parts will be scary. And just because of the way the guy reads some certain things, like it's different than I read them in my head. And it just emphasizes different parts that I didn't necessarily focus on. and they become scary.
One thing is, I think that would be hard. I get scared whenever I do audiobooks. I kind of like to listen to audiobooks and put them on a timer and often just go to sleep listening to them. But I think
Probably
that would
not
not
with
be
this
a good
one.
idea.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you do go to sleep
You
and it's
literally
still
go
like,
into a dream
you start
from the
dreaming
book.
a bit about it. Yeah, I don't
thanks.
think I want to do that.
You'd be in the elevator. It wouldn't be on, but it would be running. You'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh dear God, it would be terrible. One thing is that the book does not have an axe in it.
No axe.
It's a hammer,
It's
right? It's a croquet mallet.
It's not croquet, but roque, which ROQU,
Which is like croquet, right?
Kind of a croquet, but a roque mallet. It's like rubber on one end and like hard on the other, and it's just a big mallet. So that was the weapon of choice for Jack throughout the book, and
I
not
like
an
the
axe.
The axe is
Yeah.
better.
Oh yeah. I think again
It's
the axe is
Hollywood
more
eyes, that
terrifying, right?
motherfucker.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's a
I don't know. The rope
little-
mallet, the axe is so clean. Like they can show the axe going in, and you're just like, yeah, that's regular. But if they showed like a smashed leg from a rope mallet, that'd be a little more disgusting.
like a smashed
Right?
skull. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna bash your brains in.
Oh, well, if you look at it too, it looks like a big hammer, kind of. It looks like a croquet mallet too.
That's what I
It's
have
got
in my
like a-
head. Yeah.
A rubber end. One side's a rubber and the other is not. Though it's just like an oversized looking hammer. But anyway, I just sort of interesting that choice there. Yeah. I think that's mostly. I mean, again, I think.
Oh, and sorry, I did have another
yeah.
thing. Do you have something right now, or are you just kind of
Not right now. Go on. I'm like poking
that
around.
scene? So the only part of the book I don't like is when Halloran is trying to get to the hotel, and like all the hedge animals come back, and they're attacking him on
Yeah.
like a snowmobile, and it's just I don't know if it's just the way he wrote it, or if it just seems like too much, and like the scariness of it all is gone because it's no longer building up. It's all just kind of like throwing everything at you now.
Yeah. I agree.
Not a
I
huge
thought
fan.
that was a little strange. It's more like almost like James Bond, too much action or something. It's like now he's on a snowmobile fighting hedge. It just starts to seem ludicrous. You get to this point beyond scary, it just starts to seem silly. Yeah.
Like any Michael Bay movie, it's like it starts at 10, it stays at 10. You're like, what's the point of this? I'm bored.
What are we
and
gonna
the
do
story
now?
sucks.
Yeah. But that was it. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, I think it was good. I think the book was really good reading. Again, I was surprised. I started reading it. I didn't know if I'd enjoy it or not, but I just once I started reading it, I was hooked again. So
Nice.
I haven't read The Stand for a long time. Maybe I should try that one.
Stand
next.
is great.
Yeah.
The one I'm reading right now is really good.
What's his latest?
It's called Billy Summers.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Yeah, a lot of them recently have been really good.
All
With,
right.
with pretty bad endings for most of them. So I'm just trying to think of one with a
really?
good
Just
ending,
like-
but like
yeah.
most of them have bad endings. So
Does The Stand have a bad ending?
it's not as bad as most of his books. That's why
He's
it's one
just
of my
not good at
favorites.
endings. He can't do
I
the
thought
ending.
I thought this book ended well. The hotel blows
It's
up.
his best ending in any book. And then I've read his.
Wendy and Halloran make it. They like go and they're hanging out later back in Halloran's place or in Florida or wherever he's living. It sounds like, and they're all like sort of recovering and doing well. So
The Stand has a pretty good ending, but there's one part that's pretty stupid. That's all I can think of,
Okay.
but I'll definitely send you more recommendations. The one I'm reading now is really good, so that's an easy one.
Yeah. I was surprised. I haven't read Stephen King in a long time, so I was surprised how much I got into this one.
Nice.
Nice.
Hey, TC's still there. Holy shit.
I know.
Sticking with us. Good job, man.
Yeah, I'm dying of sweat, yawning, and thinking about a fucking elevator that doesn't
How's the
run.
sky down there? You got clear skies or is it smoky?
Yeah, we got skies.
Nice.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're good.
You got him up there.
Yeah,
up
we
there.
got skies. Yeah, we got skies down here too. Yeah. No,
Oh, you got
there's
sky to
no,
the left, sky to the right.
there's no smoke as far as I can see.
Nice. Today was the first day we had a not so great air quality, so it's
Yeah,
Nice.
orange.
that's good.
Anywho.
That's good.
Well, what are we? Well, first top 250 guys.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% in the top 250.
Yeah.
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 Maybe even higher up. You know,
That's
top
right.
20,
Yeah.
top 20.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's giving it a big
Whoa,
run there.
I don't know.
It is.
Certainly,
Yeah.
always
I
like
don't know. He says.
definitely top 5 horror films, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah.
Probably on anybody's list.
Probably.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the second highest on the list, right? Because Alien is the highest.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and you could argue whether that's horror. It's really horror.
That's horror, yeah.
It's science fiction horror, but
Yeah, I'm not so sure I'm going to like that one. I don't know if I don't remember seeing it as
What?
an adult at all. So
we're gonna have fun with that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So next week, we're going to
Yes, what do we
try
have?
to watch
What are
The
we gonna
Green
do?
Knight.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
That's not going to happen tonight, buddy. It's
You're
it's
going
like
to bed?
10.
He's already in bed. Look at him.
It's 10. Dude. It's 10 o'clock here. I've been here for.
We did this for a while.
This is the longest.
This is
the
hour
longest
3.
episode.
We're all 3 hours in right now.
Yeah, 3.5.
Well, I'm going to watch The Green
3.5.
Knight as soon as I turn this
3.5.
off. So that'll be fun for me.
I am excited
This might
for
be
you.
the
I wish
longest
I could do
recording
it.
ever. that we've
Yes, I
done.
think it is.
Yeah, I think it is.
What should we watch for a bonus episode?
I don't know. There's the Suicide Squad movie. I watched most of it, and I don't know if it'd be worth watching.
Okay.
So
That's
it's
a good.
it is actually-
That's a good
I
one.
know.
Yeah, thanks for
but
that.
it's still it's amusing. You'd like it. I think it's pretty amusing so far. What I watched, I'll watch the rest of it at some point. But
Really? Okay.
I don't know. We'll have to confer.
We'll figure something out. We'll insert it here. If nothing else, Django Unchained, the Tarantino movie, is next on the list. So
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
That's not a bad one. I like that. Yeah.
We'll talk about it. We could do we think of a different bonus one because then that means we already have a bonus after Django too. So
okay.
huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So stay
All right.
tuned. Whatever next week's going to be random because we're not going to
Yeah.
commit
Figure it out.
to Hateful
Yeah,
Eight
'cause
right
we
now
don't know,
for
and
whatever
we
the
can't
fuck
agree.
reason.
Exactly. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Well,
All right, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Later.
see you guys.
Stop 'em.